So good to have everybody here tonight. I hope we're in for a little treat. I know there were so many of you just chatting to me saying, I just needed a night out. I just needed to be with some girls for a little bit, just have a little chat, have a little fun, and hopefully some good discussion tonight. I want to introduce myself. My name is Brie. I'm married to Dan. He's the pastor. He's one of the pastors here at Grace Church of Greenwich. And I'm going to admit right up front, there's a little bit of me that's curious why you decided to come to the talk tonight. Christina's here. I wonder if it was like a sense of obligation, right? You're a woman, you go to the church, it's a women's event kind of thing, or if you have had this friend invite you kind of a lot of times and you've always said no, fine, I'll go, right? Or if it was the title of the talk. I don't know if any of you got this. You can be beautiful, right? Isn't this every beauty advertisement out there, right? 5 bottles of ... right? 3 sessions of whatever. You can be beautiful. And so there's a bit of me that thinks maybe you kind of shook your head. Sure. More empty promises. Or maybe there was a bit of longing, right? That deep hope in your heart. Maybe there's something in this talk that can make me beautiful. Whatever the reason is, I think the far more important question, the far harder question to probably answer is, why does being beautiful matter? Like, why does it matter that my husband sees me as beautiful? My coworkers notice my hair, or my friends notice my outfit. Why do we need this declaration? And what's at the root of that desire to be beautiful? And I have to wonder if part of that is because of what beauty gets me. Right? Opportunities, access. It was the pretty girls that got to go to the good parties. More boys wanted to date the beautiful girl. More people wanted to be friends with the beautiful girl. And so a person's physical appearance it's either going to draw us in or make us walk away. And so what ends up happening is that our physical beauty, it ends up determining whether I'm a person worthy of love, worthy of interest, worthy of your time. Our entire value as a person ends up relying on our physical beauty. And I'm not sure if you can start to see the problem there. My worth, my value, it's tied up in the opinion of someone else. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, the one looking at the object of beauty. That's the hardship of beauty. We're totally at the whim of the person looking at us. Do they like curly hair or straight? Full-figured, skinny, makeup, not right. So even when you think you've mastered the latest makeup trend, right, it's changed. Or the latest fashion, it's outdated. Chasing this declaration of beautiful, it feels a bit like running a race where the finish line keeps moving further and further away. And so what may surprise you tonight is my beauty talk won't tell you what clothes to wear, or I was really up. I'm also not going to tell you whether or not you should wear makeup, or dye your hair, or get plastic surgery. Instead, I'm going to show you a Christian perspective on beauty. We're going to look into the Bible. That's where we see Christian perspective. And the wonderful thing I got to discover is that objective beauty is available through the Bible. Objective, meaning unchanging with any culture, with how old you are, with opinions. It's true or not, you have it or you don't. Objective, a finish line of beauty that we can actually cross. And it's available through the Christian perspective to the point where I could truthfully say to each and every one of you tonight, you are beautiful. And so before I start, I wanted to do a brief run through of the handouts that are on your tables. There should be enough kind of white space to write any questions or comments that may come up as I'm talking. We are going to have a question and answer session after the talk, and so it may just help to write it down as it comes up in your mind. So let me just do a quick walkthrough so you know where we are as we go through the talk. We're going to start right at the very beginning with God and how he is objectively beautiful. And then we're going to see how he made us, humans, to be objectively beautiful. But we will see that we are no longer objectively beautiful. But we will see that Jesus can give back that objective beauty through his death on the cross. And finally and briefly, we'll think about how to live that out. How do we live out our objective beauty? So let's dive into that first point, thinking about how God is objectively beautiful. Our first passage is from Psalm 27, verse 4. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. The author has recognized something, that being with the Lord, gazing on his beauty, will captivate him all the days of his life. And it sounds odd, doesn't it? How is that even possible if there's not even something to look at? God is a spirit. He doesn't have a body or fashion or looks. So how can his beauty be captivating? Well, what's the only other option? If it's not what he looks like, it must be what he does, his character, who he's like, how he cares for people, interacts for people. Right? That's the beauty being seen, God's beautiful character. And perhaps you've had a chance to witness someone with a beautiful character like this. The kid who stops, not because a parent or a teacher said anything, but the one who stops to share or to play with the new kid. Or that person that gives up their Saturday to be with someone who has nothing. Or maybe you've been on the receiving end of a beautiful character like this. The friend who sits with you, cries with you, hugs you, even though there's a million other things to do. Or the mother who wiped your chin, listened to the endless stories, loved you completely. And as beautiful as it is to see people like this, how much more beautiful when the God of the universe cares for people. And perhaps we forget it. We take it for granted that God wants to know us. But God is far bigger and far greater than we are. There is no reason why he should want to interact with us. We are invisible specks in comparison to him. Let me put it this way. How often do you attempt to care for the ants in your kitchen? Right? Have you tried to have a relationship with them? Right? Have you tried to communicate with them? How do I get past that barrier? How much have you tried to love them and care for them, provide for them? That's what it means for God to love us. And that's why this author is so captivated by his character. God chooses to interact with, care for, and love something as insignificant as us. Here is objective beauty, a beauty unaffected by age or culture or opinion. God is objectively beautiful because he cares for people who could never possibly repay him. But this beauty is not something God kept for himself. In our second passage for tonight, we see God bestowing it, giving it to those insignificant creatures he cares so much about. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, we read, God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. We were designed, created to be little images of God. And we are unlike any other creature that he has made. There is something humans possess that animals do not have. But I have a feeling that not everybody would agree with that statement. I think there are many who think we're just animals. We should follow our instincts, follow our desires, be like the animals we know we are. And there's a bit of me that gets this. They're right. We're mammals. We're warm-blooded. We have skin and not scales. We have babies and not eggs. But I think we also recognize there is something beautiful when we say no to our basic instincts, those animal desires in us. So let's think that through a little bit. When someone's angry, what's the first instinct, the animal reaction? Yell, hit, scream. But how much more beautiful when someone is calm, tries to find a solution in a kind and caring way. Or when someone's greedy, what's the first instinct, the animal reaction? Grab. Do whatever I have to do to get that thing. But how much more beautiful when someone thinks, do I really need this? Could I be giving instead? Or when someone's lusting, looking at someone and wanting them. What's the first instinct, the animal reaction? Satisfy. Right? Satisfy that desire. But how beautiful is it when someone says, no, my commitment to my wife is more important. The animal desires are there. But it's when we say no, when we exercise self-control, when we think of someone else before ourselves, that's when our original design as humans, that's when it shines through. We reflect the outward-looking, outward-loving God because we are image bearers of him. But I think we also recognize that humans are not always so beautiful. And this is where our third passage highlights the problem. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 64, verse 6, we read, all of us have become like one who is unclean, and all our righteous acts are like filthy rags. By far, I think this is the hardest step for any human to accept. We are no longer beautiful. We are marred, distorted images of God because each one of us has turned our own way. Instead of just being image bearers, we've made ourselves gods. My way or the highway. I did it my way. God's character is always outward looking, outward loving. Our character is about serving ourselves. I read an article in the local paper once listing several reasons about why we should do community service, help others. Almost every reason listed was self-serving. It brings you joy. It gives you peace, a sense of accomplishment, a greater purpose. Only one reason was listed, which was just about loving someone in need. So we see our character, it's really about serving ourselves, even when it masquerades as serving others. Our righteous acts are like filthy rags. Last summer, we ran a summer Bible club for the kids here at church, and the craft one day was taking a little white paper shirt and making it dirty. And the kids were supposed to be thinking of the times they hit their brother, yelled at their parents, made fun of the new kid, right? They knew there was dirtiness. They knew there was ugliness. And so they made the shirt dirty. But there was one little girl who said to me, I don't want a dirty shirt. I'm going to make mine pretty instead. Is that not us? I don't want to see the dirtiness in me. I don't want to acknowledge just how bad my thoughts, my words, my actions can be. And so instead, I'm going to make it pretty. I'm going to paste over the ugliness with good deeds, generosity, kindness, or a really nice outfit, good-looking hair. I'm beautiful. I'm worthy of being known. But don't get too close. Don't look too closely at the ugliness I'm hiding in my heart. We have a heart problem. There's a reason to be disgusted with our hearts sometimes. And as much as we want to ignore it, we hold in our hands dirty rags. Even our good deeds are soiled with self-serving intentions. But praise the objectively beautiful God. He didn't just leave us there shamefully holding these dirty rags. He offered hope. And it's our fourth passage which highlights that hope he brought into the world. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21, it says, God made Jesus, who had no sin, to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. Now, don't be thrown off by that word sin. It's no different than what we've already been talking about, right? The ugliness in our hearts. But there was one whose hands were clean, whose actions were pure, whose shirt was spotlessly white. His name was Jesus. The objectively beautiful God entered this world. He became a man. And he showed us what objectively beautiful character looked like. Jesus had no sin. And yet God made Jesus to be sin for us. When Jesus went to the cross, an offer was being made. Jesus said, let me take your dirty rags. Let me take the blame, because I love you. I will be sin for you if you are only willing to ask. It seems so easy. Just ask and my sins taken away? Just because it's easy for us doesn't mean it was easy for Jesus. We're told in Isaiah chapter 52 that by his death, Jesus' appearance was so marred, he was beyond human semblance. Now, we don't really know what Jesus looked like. But what has to happen to someone to no longer resemble a human? How much does a body need to be ripped apart, bloodied, beaten, so that by the end, you can't even tell it's a person? And I'm sorry if that feels brutal and ugly, like a horror movie where you just want to turn your face away. But I want us to really understand how hard it was for Jesus to say, I'll take your dirty rags. And as shocking as this is, the physical part of his death, I think it's meant to be a picture of what was happening to Jesus spiritually. As we give Jesus our dirty rags, he is wrapped in our ugliness, our selfish character. Every time we behave like an animal instead of an image bearer. And every added layer makes him look less and less human. to the point where at the cross, his own Father had to turn his face away. And it wasn't because he was bloody and gruesome, though he certainly was. It's because Jesus had every spiritual ugliness wrapped around him 1,000,000 times over. God turned his face away. He abandoned his beautiful Son because Jesus was spiritually hideous. So let's not take it lightly when he says, I'll take your dirty rags. He endured that suffering for us, for anyone who's willing to ask for his help. But that's not all our fourth passage said. Halfway through we read, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. Jesus doesn't just take our sin, our dirty rags, and face the blame. He gives us his perfection. We become the righteousness of God. And that was the beautiful thing about that kids' activity from earlier. The kids didn't just make these ugly, disgusting shirts thinking about everything they had done wrong, and then we sent them home, loaded with guilt, right? No, there was an offer, there was an exchange, right? By simply asking, they got a spotless white new shirt, right? They became the righteousness, the perfection of God. And here's how Jesus brings us back, gets us back to what we used to be. When anyone admits with upheld hands, I've got nothing to give you, God, except these filthy rags. I've tried cleaning them. They just keep getting dirtier. Please, Jesus, can you save me? Just like that, the filthy rags are removed. And we're clothed in Jesus' righteousness, clothed in his perfection, clothed in the objective beauty of God. That captivating character of God we saw at the beginning, that's ours now, our reality. We are objectively captivating. But do we really believe it? As we live day by day, failing to live the way God wants us to live, failing to live even the way I want myself to live, how do we think God sees us? The family embarrassment? The one to hide away? Maybe he regrets saving me in the first place. And yet we see in Isaiah chapter 62, it says that God sees us as a crown of beauty in the hand of the Lord. God doesn't want to hide you away. He looks at his crown in awe, dazzled by your radiant beauty, that perfect character given by Jesus. He doesn't regret saving you. He cherishes you. He knows your priceless value to him. He's not ashamed of you. Where are you there? You're in his hand. He's holding you up, honoring you, saying, look here. Look at my beautiful daughter. And you're not only a crown, you are a bride. In that same chapter 62 of Isaiah, it says, as a groom rejoices over the bride, so shall your God rejoice over you. I got to see this silly little movie called 27 Dresses. And it's about a woman who's been a bridesmaid 27 times. And at one point, she's asked, what's your favorite part of the wedding? She said, oh, that's easy. You know, when the bride makes her big entrance and everybody turns to look at her, I look at the groom. Because his face says it all. That look of pure love. And ever since then, at every wedding, I would try it out. I wanted to see if there was something to what she said. And I got to go to my friend Joel's wedding. And I know he'll kill me for telling telling the story, but I looked at him when the bride entered, and he was crying, right? Huge smile on his face, glowing with joy, but crying. I'm sure it was tears of disbelief. The day was here. I get to marry that girl. Tears of joy as he sees his beautiful bride. And I realize there may be some of you here who have never had a groom look at you like that. Or maybe the memory of that day has long been forgotten because marriage got hard. Divorce happened. But there is one groom who looks at you like that. One groom who looks at you every day, with that same joy and love. God will never grow tired of his bride. God will never look for a younger, more beautiful bride. Why would he? He already has the perfect one. Jesus has given this bride objective beauty. It's unchanging. It doesn't fade with age. An objective beauty based on character, the perfect character of Jesus. And so what could affect God's love for us? If our skin wrinkles? If I gain some weight? Lose my hair? No, because it's not about your physical beauty. No stretch marks, no surgery scars, nothing this world deems ugly will ever change the fact that God sees you as beautiful. You are beautiful. When God looks down on those who have trusted in Jesus, he sees perfection, the objective beauty of Jesus. A shining crown, beautiful bride. You are beautiful. And so, ladies, if you have trusted Jesus to save you, know this. Know it in the deepest part of your heart. You are beautiful. It's a beauty that is unseen. It's not valued by the world at all. But it is seen by God, and it's precious to him. He has seen you at your worst, whether it's sniffling and sneezing, or when you're serving yourself instead of others. He has seen the ugliness, and he loves you. Because of Jesus, he sees you as beautiful. So stop striving after this beauty. We'll never attain that physical beauty, right? That finish line we'll never cross. Instead, realize Jesus has brought you across the finish line of objective beauty. Know you are beautiful. Seen, loved, valued, worthy, clothed in the perfection of Jesus. Let's reset our beauty regimes and dedicate our time to the beauty that will never fade or pass away. And that's where our final passage for tonight is wanting to inspire in us. In 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 4, we read, "Let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious to God." I have to wonder how many of us include this adorning in our morning beauty routine. We adorn ourselves with the right outfit, the perfect hair and makeup. But how many of us are thinking, Lord, help me to adorn the hidden person of my heart. You have made me objectively beautiful through Jesus. Help me to reflect that beauty in my thoughts, my words, my actions today. Let my husband, my kids, my coworkers, my friends, let them see the beauty of Jesus through me. What a way to start your day. Reminding yourself you're objectively beautiful in the eyes of God. But there's also a recognition that we don't live up to that objective beauty. So it takes practice, thoughtfulness, mindfulness to live that way. And so we'll strive to be better people, not because we're trying to get something. Jesus has given us everything. We're going to strive to be better people because we want to reflect the beauty of God who became man. Jesus sacrificed himself physically, spiritually, to save others. Jesus generously gave of himself, his beautiful character, that objective beauty of God. How beautiful this world could be if we reflect that kind of beauty. And so we're going to take a 5 to 10 minute break now, have a little mull, use any of the little question sheets up there to ask some questions, and I'll come back and hopefully answer them. Thank you.